10 a.m. So let's proceed with our hearing. The organizational meeting and briefing of the Committee on Finance is hereby called to order. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Ping Lacson and Senator Bam Aquino. And just to go through the admin portion of this hearing, for the record, the Committee on Finance, as provided under Rule 10, Section 3 of the Rules of the Senate, has the following jurisdiction. All matters relating to funds for the expenditures of the national government and for the payment of public indebtedness, auditing of accounts and expenditures of national government, claims against the government, intergovernmental revenue sharing, and in general, all matters relating to public expenditures. Pursuant thereto, the committee is composed of 20 members. During the plenary session on August 5, 2025, all senators, excluding the Senate President and ex officio members, were elected as regular members of the committee. Further, on August 13, and August 27, 2025, the following senators were designated as vice chairperson. Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator J.V. Arcito, Senator Bongo, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Senator Erwin Tulfo, and Senator Camille Villar. The Committee on Finance will adopt and subscribe to the pertinent provisions of the rules of the Senate and the rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation as the rules of the committee. Would like to welcome a motion from any of our distinguished colleagues in that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Committee on Finance adopt and subscribe to the rules of the Senate and the rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Any second? Duly seconded by Senator Bam Aquino. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the rules of the Senate and the rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation are hereby adopted as the rules of the Committee on Finance. The rules shall guide the operation and conduct of meetings and hearings and inquiries of the committee. At this juncture, let me direct the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons. Just acknowledge the heads of the different offices. We can dispense acknowledging the undersecretaries and the secretaries, or else we'll take the whole morning to do that. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Again, with your permission and for purposes of expediency and efficiency, we will acknowledge only the secretaries of the departments, and the complete list of agency resource persons will be attached to the transcript. For the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, we have the Secretary Amena F. Pangandaman. For the Department of Finance, Secretary Recto is represented by Undersecretary Maria Luwalhati Dorotan Choseco. For the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, or DepDev, Secretary Balisacan is represented by Undersecretary Rosemary Edelion. For the Office of the Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs, or OSAPEA, we have Secretary Frederick Go. And last but not the least, from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP, we have Governor Eli M. Remolona Jr. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
To our distinguished colleagues, Secretary Recto and Secretary Balisacan cannot attend today's DBCC hearing, but they will definitely attend tomorrow's DBCC hearing. So if we have any questions directed to them, or any questions that you want them to answer directly, we can reserve those questions for tomorrow's DBCC hearing. Traditionally, we usually have 2 DBCC sessions in a row. So just as a brief opening statement, we're entering the 2026 budget in a very tumultuous situation. As we all know, the 2025 budget was indeed a very controversial one. I've heard comments saying that the 2025 budget is one of the most corrupt budgets in our history. And over the past few weeks, we have seen allegations of ghost projects in the budget, allegations of substandard projects in the budget. No less than our president went to inspect a ghost project in Bulacan. He also witnessed substandard projects. He actually had divers to dive and inspect those projects. So the 2026 budget cannot be business as usual. We have to reform the budget process by making it more transparent and also understandable. Admittedly, some of the documents that we are all uploading, including documents from the executive side, are very complex to understand by a common person. So one of the challenges or one of the directions that we should take is not only just uploading documents, but to make it understandable to our constituents. I tried to look at the DPWH budget these past few weeks, and if you are not an engineer, it's very difficult to understand that. But that defeats the purpose of transparency, because you can upload the documents, but if nobody can understand it, then it defeats the purpose. So the 2026 budget, the direction of this committee for the 2026 budget is a budget that is lean, effective, and efficient. We will be very conscious on what happened in the last 2025 budget. So we would ask our colleagues to help this committee to scrutinize the 2026 budget and to make sure that every single centavo that is included in the 2026 budget will redound to the benefit of our constituents. And I thank our colleagues for joining us today. This is indeed, the DBCC hearing is indeed the signal of the kickoff of the budget process here in the Senate. So today marks the first day of the budget process here in the Senate. So with that, I would like to also acknowledge the presence of Senator Javis Hercito and Senator Mig Subiri. Does our colleagues have any opening statement before we continue with the DBCC presentation? Kung wala naman po, as a matter of tradition, we would allow the agencies to make their presentations. And I beg the indulgence of our colleagues to reserve their questions after the presentations. There are 4 presentations that will be made in order of the different departments. We'll start off with the Bangko Sentral presentation.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, just to ask, were the heads of the DOF, former Senator, now Secretary Recto, as well as Secretary Balisacan of
Yep.
DepDep?
Yes, Senator Recto sent a letter this morning that he is indisposed because of a medical condition. But tomorrow, definitely he will come. Whether he has a medical condition or not, he will make his presence here in the Senate. So if you have any questions that you want him to answer directly, we can reserve that for tomorrow. Secretary Balisacan informed this representation weeks ago about his very important trip. Again, he will be present tomorrow. So if you have any questions that you want him to answer, we can direct that tomorrow. So again, the presentations in order will be Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Department of Finance, Department of Economy, and the Department of Budget and Management. And again, I indulge my colleagues to reserve their questions at the end of the 4 presentations. All right, so we call on Governor Eli Remolona for his presentation.
Honorable Chair of the Committee on Finance, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Aquino, Senator Lacson, Senator Ejercito, Senator Zubiri, magandang umaga po. I also greet Secretary Pangandaman and Secretary Frederick Go. I welcome this opportunity to testify before the Committee on Finance to present the BSP's macroeconomic assessment of the country's performance. This will provide the context for the assumptions behind the proposed national government budget for the fiscal year 2026. Amid the swirling controversies over corruption, I am pleased to report a piece of good news. we think the economy is in good shape. Inflation has been tamed, the banking system remains strong, and our external position is sound. Indeed, our economy is in what I would call a sweet spot. And I think this would help our fiscal strategy make it more effective. If you can go to the next slide. In the last 3 years, Mr. Chairman, we had to grapple with a major surge in inflation. The chart shows the sources of that surge. Yellow is energy prices, green is food prices, and red is what we call core inflation. Yellow and green are the components that tend to be hit by supply shocks. Indeed, in January 2022, with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we had a surge in energy prices. That's the yellow part. With that surge, we hit an inflation rate of 8.7% in January 2023. After that, we were hit by a surge in food prices, mainly imported rice. In mid-2023, India banned the export of its rice, and that led to higher prices for rice, and that contributed to higher inflation. In the famed inflation, now we're down to an inflation rate of 0.9% for this consumer basket. For the bottom 30%, in fact, for their consumer basket, inflation is now at -1%. Red is what we call the core inflation. This is all the other items in the consumer basket. And that one is the one where we have the most impact. This is what's affected by the demand side. And I think we've succeeded in taming that demand so that inflation in general is now quite low. What we did over the past few years is to aggressively raise the policy rate when we were faced with the initial surge of inflation. So we raised from 2% to 6.5%. But since then, inflation has begun to be manageable, and we have lowered the policy rate from 6.5% to what is now 5%. This lowering of the policy rate stimulates demand. It helps the economy grow. And because we did it in a very measured approach, it hasn't led to inflation. At the same time, we have reduced the reserve requirement on banks from as high as 14%. It's now down to 9%. This reserve requirement has been distorting the way banks finance loans. And by lowering the reserve requirement, loan rates have come down, while some deposit rates have actually risen. Looking ahead, I think I can say that inflation will stay within target. As you know, monetary policy operates with a lag. The effect of the policy rate takes a few months before it's felt. And so with this lag, we decide on monetary policy depending on what inflation looks like 6 months ahead, 1 year ahead, or 2 years ahead. So we look at where inflation is going, and then we decide on monetary policy. As of now, it looks like inflation will stay within the target range of between 2% and 4%. So we think inflation in 2026 will be 3.3%. Inflation in 2027 will be around 3.4%. So that's the outlook